We start with breaking news. Trap City Rob now faces murder charges for killing Bloodhound Jeff. It has been 2 years since the Chicago streets lost one of their most talked about drill rappers. Yet, this grim story is still unfolding, and the crimes tied to Bloodhound are finally coming to light. The cold cases linked to Lil Jeff are finally being solved, and the accomplices who ran with him are facing justice. If you thought this story ended when Jeff took 19 bullets on June 8, 2024, you were wrong, because the wheels of justice keep grinding even after the main player is gone. Join us as we analyze this case. Hit that subscribe button and let us dive into this complex tragedy. We are examining the life and death of Jeffrey Harris, known to the streets as Lil Jeff, one of the most feared names from Chicago's South Side. Today, we break down every lead from the downtown double homicide to the shocking rideshare shooting. It was a scene that stunned Chicago, captured in desperate calls reporting multiple victims on the street. After years of online bragging, recent arrests are finally bringing a sense of closure to this saga. Now, before you dismiss this as just another drill music tragedy, let us look closer. This is a rare case where the rap industry, street violence, and the courtroom directly collide. Usually, these street crimes go entirely cold. Witnesses remain silent and evidence vanishes into thin air. But in Lil Jeff's case, investigators secured extensive surveillance footage and deep digital evidence. Crucially, the rapper documented his own crimes through his music and various live streams on social media. The streets whispered about it since 2023, and now the justice system has finally caught up. Let us examine the full timeline together to understand the true depth of this violent legacy. Who was Lil Jeff, and why did he dominate headlines? Jeffrey Harris was born in July 2002. Raised on Chicago's South Side, he quickly became a key figure in the notorious Bloodhound street crew. They operated around 79th Street, where Jeff quickly proved he was not a typical drill artist. He possessed an intense, raw charisma, but what truly set him apart was his haunting specificity. He rapped about actual rivalries and specific streets, making his music feel like raw local reporting. Our team has observed how drill music often blurs the line between artistic performance and outright confession. Yet Jeff crossed that line deliberately, using his public platform to broadcast real-world gang conflict. He would stream live, mock his rivals, and reference ongoing neighborhood feuds directly in his tracks. This constant posturing built an infamous reputation, one that was closely tied to a rising body count. Our investigation reveals that rumors of his violence kept the entire city on edge. Local blogs and street commentators frequently discussed the terrifying rumors surrounding his actions. The street rumor mill linked him to 11 tragic deaths, a dark reputation that he actively embraced in public. Calling himself the Bloody Reaper, he operated without fear, a reckless attitude that eventually sealed his fate. But here is where the case turns critical. 2 specific shootings elevated him to a new tier of notoriety. These crimes occurred in broad daylight, right in downtown Chicago, captured on multiple high-definition security cameras. Hundreds of commuters at a busy CTA station witnessed the shooting, which claimed 2 young lives. These teenage victims, aged 17 and 16, sparked a bloody cycle of revenge that consumed everyone involved. This violence directly reached the Chicago Loop, claiming 17-year-old Montario Williams, along with 16-year-old Robert Boston. This double homicide on January 26, 2024, changed everything. The shooting took place around 12:30 in the afternoon, forever altering the path of our investigation. It occurred in the heart of downtown Chicago, just blocks away from tourist hotspots like Millennium Park, directly outside the Washington and Wabash CTA station, an area usually bustling with office workers. You would never expect to see this raw street violence. Remember to like this video as we continue. The 2 young men who tragically lost their lives that afternoon represent the extreme cost of this conflict. The victims were 17-year-old Montario Williams, known as Monty, and 16-year-old Robert Boston, known as Lil Rob. These childhood friends were both students at Innovations High School, located only a few blocks away. Only blocks away on North State Street, we know they actually grew up together on the near West Side. A vital clue for investigators is footage showing 2 high school students shot and killed under a busy L station in the Loop. That afternoon, they were doing what high schoolers normally do, hanging outside on their lunch break, walking, talking, living life. Hit that like button, because without this deep street context, you are only getting half the story. In the weeks leading up to January 26th, a heavy beef was brewing between the Bloodhound camp and the BK and Nitty Block crew, that Monty and Rob were affiliated with. At the center of that beef was something that might sound minor to outsiders, but it is one of the most disrespectful things, according to details spreading throughout the Chiricology community and heavily referenced across multiple platforms covering the situation. Monty and Lil Rob allegedly clashed with Lil Jeff over some jewelry, specifically 2 watches. Some reports claim it was a chain, but the key detail, the thing making this entire situation even more complex, is that the jewelry Jeff wore was reportedly completely fake. It was just replica costume jewelry. Yet Monty and Rob, whether they knew it or not, took those pieces from him anyway. Now, for someone with Jeff's reputation and the heavy image he was building in Chicago's drill music scene, being robbed of anything, even a cheap fake, is a violation that demands a swift response. On the streets, it is never about monetary value. It is about the public statement that you got caught slipping. Someone walked up and took something from you. If you do not respond immediately, your entire reputation starts to crack. Jeff was simply not the type to let his image crack. Now, this is where our investigation reveals things deeper than a basic street beef. On January 26, 2024 was not random. This was organized, targeted, and happened in one of the most public spots in the entire city of Chicago, showing exactly how little Jeff and his circle cared about being seen. According to state prosecutors, a stolen dark blue Infiniti SUV pulled up right in front of the CTA elevators outside Innovations High School. 3 masked men jumped out, and for approximately 15 seconds, those 3 gunmen opened fire on students outside. That is when witnesses claim a dark-colored car, a dark SUV pulled up, and masked shooters jumped out. 15 seconds of pure gunfire in the middle of the loop at 12:30 in the afternoon. A 25-year-old woman walking by had a bullet pierce her coat. It went through my arm. I was just passing by, and yeah, right here. So the bullet hit her. Yes, she was an innocent bystander who almost died just by being in the wrong place at the absolute wrong time. Monty Williams and Robert Boston were both hit, rushed to the hospital, and both pronounced dead. Only 17 and 16 years old. Childhood friends gone allegedly over a petty street beef that started over some jewelry, some fake chains that escalated this entire situation. Now, let that tragedy sink in for a minute. 2 high school kids simply stepping out for lunch walked directly into a deadly ambush that had been planned for them, If this case shocks you, hit subscribe. Now let us see what the investigation revealed about the accomplices who were with Lil Jeff. This is where the story gets even more wild, because the police work actually came together in a way that is highly rare in Chicago murder investigations. Most cases like this quickly go cold. The city clears under 20% of its homicides in some years. But here, police had a lot of evidence to analyze, taking their time to build it. Prosecutors have stated that the 3rd gunman who was involved in those murders died in June 2024. If you and I follow this closely, we know who they are talking about. That 3rd shooter is widely believed by the Chiricology community and street reporters to be Lil Jeff himself. The timeline lines up. He died on June 8, 2024, shot 19 times just months after the loop shooting. Prosecutors, without naming him directly, confirmed that the 3rd suspect in the Monte and Lil Rob homicides was deceased. So Jeff never saw a courtroom, never having to answer for what happened that January afternoon. The streets took care of that before the law ever could. But the other 2 suspects were not so lucky. The first arrest came when 22-year-old Tommy Coleman, a Pullman resident, was captured in the Jefferson Park neighborhood. An arrest warrant was actually issued for Coleman back on December 9th, nearly a year after those murders. Coleman faces 2 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of attempted murder, and aggravated discharge of a firearm from an occupied vehicle, and unlawful weapon use. Subscribe to our channel as we track this case. That is crucial because it shows us Coleman was already on police radar before this went down. This convicted felon was out on the streets, allegedly taking part in a daylight double execution right in downtown Chicago, when the suspect stood before Cook County Judge William Fahey for his detention hearing. The court did not mince words. The judge declared him a, quote, real and present threat to the community, pointing out how this violent act happened in broad daylight inside one of Chicago's busiest areas. Leave a like as we report on this deeper layer. On the night of that January attack, local detectives received a shocking tip from a victim's mother. Just let that sink in. A grieving mother, while still dealing with the immediate trauma of losing her child, called investigators to report that a classmate sent her footage that Coleman and his crew had actively posted on social media. The clip showed the suspects wearing masks inside the stolen SUV before and after the gunfire. In one scene, the late shooter, widely believed to be Lil Jeff, was recorded in the backseat rapping about their masks, carrying heavy weapons, driving a stolen ride, and hunting down rivals. He was literally bragging on camera about murder in real time while Coleman sat in the front seat recording the entire madness. Then came the second major breakthrough arrest. 20-year-old James Allison was captured in Crown Point, Indiana, by a joint task force of Chicago, police, and United States Marshals. As we dug deeper, we realized Allison's ties went far beyond Coleman's. This suspect was not just some random street associate of the gunman. He was a registered classmate of the victims at Innovations High School. He knew these kids. They shared the same classrooms. Our sources shared surveillance video from the campus showing Allison changing his clothes and sneaking out 90 minutes before the deadly ambush. He skipped out early, hopped into that SUV, and allegedly helped execute the classmates he walked the halls with. Prosecutors hit Allison with 2 counts of first-degree murder, attempted murder, and aggravated weapons charges. Digital forensics from all 3 suspects showed their cell phones traveling right along the same route before, during, and after the hit. License plate readers also tracked the stolen vehicle's path. The evidence is massive. Make sure to subscribe to help our news coverage. If Lil had survived June 2024 and those 19 bullets had not ended his life, he would be facing the exact same heavy charges today. He would be facing at least 2 counts of murder. Instead of street fame, he would be locked in a Cook County jail cell right now, staring down a life sentence. Instead, he is just another dead suspect named in a massive criminal trial that will likely send his surviving associates away for life. This brings us to another chapter that shocked Chicago. If you are hooked, hit like as we look closer at the murder of Jaleel Goins, the streets, as Trap City Leo. This is the precise moment that exposes how toxic the war between Blood, Hound, and Trap City truly was. It reveals a chilling side of Lil Jeff that crossed lines even for this ruthless street culture. Our team reconstructed the scene. It was a warm Sunday evening on June 25, 2023, around 8:55 p.m. in the 1300 block of West Taylor Street. This is Little Italy, not the notorious South Side or 79th Street. Little Italy sits right next to the University of Illinois Chicago campus, an active area where students enjoy outdoor dining. On this night, 19-year-old Jaleel Goins was sitting in the back of a Lyft, just riding along. He was simply a passenger, doing what millions of people do daily. Suddenly, an armed gunman walked right up to that vehicle, pulled a weapon, and shot him through the window. The driver, Robert Smith, desperately sped Goins to Rush University Medical Center, but it was already too late. Goins was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. At just 19, his life was cut short. Witness accounts depict absolute terror. Andrea Davis told reporters on the scene that she was sitting on a bench waiting for a tow truck when a sudden volley of roughly 20 gunshots shattered the quiet night. She recalled believing she was hit and scrambled behind the bench for cover. Another local resident, Denise Bryan, heard the deafening noise inside her bedroom and dropped to the floor because, as she put it, bullets have no names. To an outsider, this looks like another random, tragic headline in a violent city. But you and I know this drill scene follows a darker, calculated playbook. Those following street politics immediately understood the motive. Goins was closely tied to Trap City, a gang locked in a brutal, deadly war with the Bloodhound faction. This bitter feud had raged for months, leaving casualties on both sides. They were trading disrespectful bars, social media callouts, and street confrontations. Trap City Leo was right in that mix. But as we look closer, this is where Lil Jeff completely separated himself from everyone else in the Chicago drill scene with his pure, unapologetic trolling. After the tragic passing of Jaleel Goins, Jeff did not just rap about the incident. He did not just drop a clever line on a track. He got on camera and physically reenacted the execution. He mimicked walking up to the vehicle and pantomimed pulling the trigger. He was essentially recreating the murder of Trap City Leo for the entire internet to witness. Now, as observers of this culture, we know taunting the opposition after a loss is not new. Artists have done this for years. But there is a line that, once crossed, changes the game completely. What Jeff did with the Leo situation was on a whole different level. It was not simple bragging. He was actively demonstrating, putting himself directly in the shoes of the shooter, in a highly public, detailed manner that taunted everyone allied with Trap City. This was the kind of move that tells the opposition exactly how little you value their lives. It was a move that writes massive checks your body must eventually cash. And on June 8, 2024, when Jeff entered Woodlawn territory and stepped into that ambush, those checks came due. If you want updates on this case, subscribe now. Let us break down these street beefs. When you mock a fallen friend, family member, or associate, you are escalating. You are warning the other side that you are responsible, that you are proud, completely unbothered, and that you are ready to do it again. Naturally, the Trap City camp watched everything Jeff posted. They saw the reenactments, and they heard the music. They closely monitored his Instagram lives. Every single video Jeff uploaded was watched by very rivals who wanted him gone. They waited patiently. His mockery of Trap City Leo, coupled with the alleged loop double homicide and a street-rumored tally of 11 victims, made Lil Jeff one of the most actively targeted figures in Chicago prior to his demise. He knew the danger, as we can clearly hear in his music. Songs like "Should've Saw It" and his verse on "Ah" are loaded with lyrics echoing a man who knew exactly what fate lay ahead. The only remaining question was when and where. Now, let us examine what set this tragedy in motion. June 8, 2024, a Saturday afternoon, on the 6900 block of South Rhodes Avenue in Woodlawn. Jeff was out there with a crew, reportedly encroaching on Trap City territory. According to security video that later went viral, Jeff was observed chasing an individual up a stairwell while clad in all black. He was clearly the aggressor, leading the assault. But somewhere in that chaos, the tides turned, and defenders from inside returned fire. Jeff was struck 19 times, with 16 bullets hitting his chest. He collapsed on the pavement, unresponsive, and was rushed directly to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where doctors pronounced him dead at just 21 years old. Toxicology tests later revealed fentanyl, cocaine, and alcohol in his system. In our coverage, we saw the drill community react instantly and loudly. Associates like Bloodhound Q50 and Lil Scoon posted tributes, while fans across Chicago and across the country felt the heavy loss. Drop a like on this video if you agree with those comparing Jeff to King Von, another drill star whose violent lyricism and extreme aggression made him one of hip-hop's most compelling figures before his life was cut short. But now, we must look at the opposing camp's reaction. Trap City Rob, a key rival, was initially detained in connection with Jeff's death. Street observers watched closely, knowing the war between Trap City and Blood, Hound was far from over. Just 18 days after his demise, on June 26, 2024, his team posthumously dropped the album Stepping in Blood, featuring a high-profile remix of his breakout hit, collaborating with G Herbo. The album served as a final tribute to his raw talent and ambition, which made this tragic outcome feel almost guaranteed to anyone tracking this street war. Now, 2 years later, the legal system is finally moving. Let us look at where this complex case stands today as the legal pieces fall into place. 22-year-old Tommy Coleman now faces 2 counts of first-degree murder, along with multiple felonies for his alleged involvement in the ambush killings of Monteau Williams and Robert Boston on January 26, 2024. Additionally, 20-year-old James Allison, a former schoolmate of the victims, was apprehended in Indiana and indicted on 2 counts of first-degree murder as well, murder, and multiple related felonies. The third alleged gunman, whom prosecutors call a deceased co-conspirator, is widely believed to be Lil Jeff, though he obviously cannot stand trial. He already answered for his actions in the street court of Southside Chicago. The Trap City Leo murder from June 2023 was one of the most brazen, well-documented crimes in this entire saga, and the trail of evidence that Lil Jeff left behind through Instagram lives, reenactments, and self-incriminating tracks has painted a picture for investigators that is simply impossible to ignore. In this social media era, when creators publicly boast about violence and post it online, they are not just talking reckless, they are creating a digital trail that outlives them. And that is exactly what separates this case from so many other rap stories. Lil Jeff was never secretive. He was never subtle. He walked into every situation with maximum visibility and maximum aggression. He taunted rivals who wanted him dead and bragged about things that could have jailed him for the rest of his natural life. Ultimately, the same bravado that made him a highly discussed young Chicago drill rappers also made him one of the most hunted. Now, we must ask what this means for hip-hop culture. At the end of the day, Lil Jeff's story is not just about one kid from 79th Street. It is about a generation of young men in Chicago growing up online, building their identities through real-time documentation of real-world violence, who could not separate the online persona from reality. For them, there was no line. The music was their documentation, Instagram lives were their press releases, and the streets were the stage. But Monty and Lil Rob, two teenagers shot during their school lunch break in downtown Chicago. None of the drill music or online mythology changes the fact that they were 16 and 17 years old when their lives ended. Their families still wait for justice. While two alleged shooters are finally facing murder charges, no legal verdict can ever replace what was lost on that January afternoon in the Loop. For the family of Jalil Goin, trapped in the back of a rideshare car in Little Italy, while the world moved around him, their grief has been compounded by watching the man allegedly responsible for his death become a celebrated figure in rap culture, with thousands of fans mourning him through posthumous albums, tribute tracks. That is a deeply painful contradiction that families of victims in these street conflicts must carry in a way that most people never have to experience. The real question we must face is what happens next. Coleman and Allison will face trial in Cook County Court. The digital evidence prosecutors have assembled from social media videos to cell phone GPS tracking and school surveillance footage is highly damning. If convicted, they face decades behind bars. Meanwhile, the Bloodhound hip-hop collective continues to push forward. Q50 and others are still releasing music and staying active, while dealing with the heavy loss of the person who was the face of their entire movement. The legacy of Bloodhound, Lil Jeff, and Chicago drill is highly complex and contested, but undeniably real. 2 years, 11 alleged victims, and a double murder in the Loop finally being prosecuted. One man killed in a rideshare, whose tragic end was mocked online, and a 21-year-old who left a catalog of music that practically documented his own dark path toward an ending he clearly saw coming. We want to hear your thoughts on how this tragic cycle has unfolded. Do you think true justice will be served for Monty, for Lil Rob, and for Trap City Leo? Tell us in the comments, and make sure to subscribe and watch our other videos on screen, because we investigate every rap and street story with the same depth. Stay locked in, hit that like button, and we will see you next time.